B'ezrat Hashem, Mincha is going to be 4:40. Please be on time. We'll take this day, Tu B'Shvat, to say some halachot of Olah, halachot that are not usually talked about. The rules of Olah are mentioned in Parashat Kedoshim. The Torah tells us that for the first 3 years that a tree is planted, one is not allowed to eat from the fruits. As a matter of fact, one is not even allowed to benefit from the fruits of Olah. The rules of Olah, most people don't know. People have a lot of mistaken notions. Some people say, oh, in Chutz La'aretz, we're outside of Eretz, it doesn't apply. That's not true. It applies even in outside of Eretz. As a matter of fact, it's even from the Torah. Although the Gemara says, where is it written in the Torah? It's not written anywhere in the Torah. However, it is Halacha leMoshe miSinai. This is one of those things. Halacha leMoshe miSinai. Moshe Rabbeinu received the ruling of Olah being true even outside of Eretz Yisrael. That is something that he received from HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Har Sinai. The only difference between Eretz Yisrael and Chutz La'aretz is Safek Olah. Cases of doubt, cases of uncertainty. Is this fruit have 3 years? Did it not have 3 years? In Chutz La'aretz, Safekah Le'aked, you go ahead and you rule leniently, as opposed to in Eretz Yisrael. So those are some of the differences. The Maaseh, there's a big question in Halakha. Rav Ovadia discusses, if a person goes to a random store that has fruits, how am I allowed to buy fruits? Okay, I say it's oranges. What's the big deal? Oranges are kasher, but maybe some of those are Olah. Olah is within the first 3 years. By the way, even if you just take a tree and you uproot it, and you don't take it with the ground together with it, and you plant it somewhere else, the counting restarts. So you say to yourself, well, there could be fruits in here that are Olah. Maybe some of these fruits are Olah. So Rav Ovadia discusses this question, and he says that one is allowed to take fruits from any random store, of course, that's kasher, fruits that are fruits, right? All fruits are kasher. He's allowed to take fruits from a random store without necessarily kasher, and he doesn't have to assume that there's a prohibition of Olah. There might be in Eretz Yisrael other issues of Shemitah, Ma'asot, Tumot, other things like that. In Chutz La'aretz, we don't have that much of those issues. Those issues are not common. And therefore, those fruits are mutar to take because we go after the majority. And the majority of fruits are not a concern of Olah. Just parenthetically speaking, vegetables don't have the rules of Olah. Even things that are controversially could be considered fruits. Rav Ovadia talked about eggplants. Some authorities held that eggplants do have a prohibition of Olah, which would mean that it would be asur to eat entirely. Jalapenos, what's called passion fruit, passiflora in Hebrew. All of these things, Rav Ovadia rules on them that they are mutar. Anything basically, if you're saying ha'adama, like on an eggplant we say ha'adama, on a passion fruit we say ha'adama, jalapenos as well, pilpil harif it's called in Hebrew. All of these cases, you do not have a prohibition of Olah, and even when it's planted, in the first year, it grows, you're allowed to go ahead and you're allowed to eat it. That's not deemed to be a fruit. As well as things like roses, one would be permitted to smell roses, because roses, although it's technically, you could argue it's a tree, nevertheless, it's not a fruit tree. And therefore, one would be permitted to smell roses, even though you say it's within the first 3 years. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen ve'amen.